Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimesh Radia, and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so very blessed for this podcast. It really has been a journey. We're nearly at 200 episodes, and that feels crazy to me. So thank you to everyone that supported us. Thank you for everyone that continues to support us. Thank you for all the messages we receive. I feel very, very, very blessed. Quick intro for me. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. I love the work I get to do. I get to guide people to shine and be their authentic selves. I really do feel like a lot of us are going through things, and we're going through a massive shift, and I get to guide people, whether it's through the records, whether it's through mentorship, to truly become their authentic selves. And I'm excited about today's topic. I've just come back from a trip to Bali, and feels like I haven't recorded an episode in a while, and I haven't. So I'm excited to kind of get back and really start to channel whatever comes through. This podcast wouldn't be where it is today without my beautiful co-host, introducing the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire, now published author, Stacey Brown. Stace, over to you.
So good to be back.
I got to do it, right?
Yeah.
I got to do it.
It's so good to be back. I feel like it's been a while since we've recorded, and I'm excited to be here. Friends, my name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. I'm also a spiritual mentor and coach, an Akashic record reader, podcast co-host, and a recently published author. My book, Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender, is available on Amazon and Audible. Can't wait for this episode.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And it's interesting. Normally we record a couple of weeks in advance. This episode, because of my travel, we're recording on Friday and it's going to be published on Monday. So I'm kind of excited about that. It means, the current is really kind of fresh. Whatever comes through, comes through. Crazy planetary activity right now. Mercury is still in retrograde. Mars, the planet of action, is also in retrograde. Full moon on Sunday. It just feels like a real heavy energy, and it feels like everybody's going through stuff, which is why we picked the topic feeling stuck. Understanding why the current shifts feel heavy and how to move through them. It's kind of like a lot of the people we talk to, a lot of people I've been talking to are feeling really heavy still, right? And it's like, I feel like I've been talking about every episode about the energy is really heavy, and it's almost like there's a part of me waiting for the energy not to be so heavy. But it does feel like this time is kind of what all spiritual leaders have been talking about for so long, whether you call it, kind of ascending, whether you call it shifting from third dimension to fifth dimension. It is meant to be a massive shift. And so if you resonate with the topic of feeling stuck and understanding why the current shifts feel heavy, and then hopefully this episode resonates with you, because, Mars being a retrograde is all about taking action. And, when it's in retrograde, we kind of do feel like we're going the opposite direction to the hamster wheel, right? It's almost like we're going against the current trend, but it's just something you got to stay the course. And we'll talk through it, but we've been going through so many shifts this year, and a lot of the feeling stuck is a lot of us are still holding on to our old versions of ourselves. A lot of us are still resisting the change because change is scary. And it is a shift, right? When you're going through a rebirth, when you're going through all the shifts that we've been going through, it does feel heavy. It does feel like the biggest shifts we've ever done in our lifetimes, and it really is. This period, this time, so many of us are being asked to shift careers, to change the way we do things. And change for humans is really scary. And I talk a lot about this on this episode. So if you are feeling stuck, and again, we'll talk through some of the steps, but if you are feeling really heavy, then you're not alone. and you're exactly where you need to be. And we'll talk through some of the current energies and some of the things that you can do through this episode. But I just wanted to start by saying you're not alone. Everybody's feeling something. Everybody's feeling the intense energy. So many people we talk to are going through something, whether it's the end of a soul contract, whether it's the end of a career, it is just a massive shift.
Mm-hmm.
And there's somebody I suddenly know that's going through a lot of shifts. And it's like, ever since I've known you, Stace, it's feels like you're on a roller coaster, and it feels like you take the people around you with you. But so when I say this topic to you, feeling stuck and understanding the current shifts, what does that mean to you?
It's so interesting because when we were kind of trying to decide on a topic, this one hit us both, right? And in a big way. And this season for me has been about getting unstuck. I think it's really fascinating to be in the situation that I'm in. So just to update everybody, I moved out of my condo and moved into a smaller living space, so that I can make the decision and transition into whatever the next phase is for me, which right now feels like moving to the UK and navigating that decision. But if I'm being real with the audience, I felt stuck in my condo and I didn't even realize that I felt stuck until removing myself from the situation and being in a new environment. And I keep in mind, I've only been in a new environment for less than a week. So this is a very new shift for me, friends. Like I literally have just moved, and the move has given me more access to my daughter, which has been really powerful and significant to have that extra time with her. But I'm recognizing that as much as I was fighting for my independence and my freedom, I was super isolated where I was and wasn't necessarily living the healthiest lifestyle that I could. And this move, this transition, has kind of opened me up to seeing how isolated and such that I was, and really kind of embracing this new season of the unknown. Like I have no idea what's coming next right now. I know that I'm going to the UK in January. I know that I'm spending a couple months there. But beyond that, I really don't know. And I feel like a lot of people that I've come in contact with are in that same kind of mindset. Like, I don't know what's next, and I don't know how I'm going to navigate it. And so this episode is all about us helping you navigate getting unstuck and what that looks like. And for me, I've had to get out of my own way. And I don't know if you can relate to that, but I have had to kind of step back and say, okay, what do I need? And be open to what the universe is willing to do to support me. And it has been a season of massive growth. And it feels like I'm on an accelerated path, which I know we've said, I mean, since you've known me, it's been that way, right? Like,
Yep.
constant change, like you said, roller coaster. And I've been thinking about this a lot. And I can't believe I'm going to talk about this publicly, but you know me, and that's what I do. But, 5 years ago, my life was upended when my son attempted to take his own life. I had everything going for me. I mean, I was just at the peak of my career, had established a really good following. And I stopped all of that to take care of my son. I stopped working. I stopped pouring into other people, including myself. and my whole world became about my son. And I swear to you, the last 5 years have been me clawing my way out of that space that I got in. I don't have any regrets in caring for my son. I have regrets in neglecting myself. And I feel like I've spent the last 5 years trying to figure out me now and what that looks like. And it's been such a journey, like
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it, but it's like that pivotal moment upended everything. And since then, I've just been trying to find my way. And some of the lessons have been really extreme. Some of the path that I've had to be on has been like massive decisions that I never thought I would be facing at this point in my life. But I believe a huge part of feeling stuck is resisting what the universe is trying to show you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it makes you feel stuck because you don't want to go along the path that you're being led. And that resistance causes friction, which causes frustration, which causes us to feel like we're not moving forward.
Yeah. No, that's very true. And I'm sure, some of your stuff is extreme, but I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years, depends how you look at it. But, maybe since the lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
how much control have we really had?
Mm-hmm.
How much control? It feels like it was, that lockdown when we were all kind of stuck and we had an opportunity to heal if we chose to. We chose, some did, some didn't. But it feels like the beginning of a massive planetary shift.
Yes.
And if you feel the current energy, it does feel heavy. These shifts, this whole year, so many karmic cycles have been closing, so many soul contracts. I mean, we talk about it a lot. Our friend circle is so much smaller than it used to. So many endings, and it just has been heavy. But it's, I love full moons, right? So the full moon that we released this episode on Monday, the full moon that happened yesterday, it does feel like an opportunity to shift. But again, only if we do the work, right? And signs that you're experiencing a shift. If you are feeling tired, if you got mood swings, heightened emotions, that is all signs of experiencing a shift or a rebirth. A rebirth is really letting go of every facet of you and allowing the new version to happen. And the fact this episode has been released the day after a massive full moon, and for me, full moons are a powerful time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
But as Stace was saying, it's like, why might you also be feeling stuck? Is the resistance? Are you resisting going through the rebirth?
Mm-hmm.
Are you holding on to people that maybe no longer serve you? Are you looking after yourself? Do you have the balance
Mm-hmm.
between the human and the spiritual self? We did an episode on that a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
What are you holding on to? And what the part that stays, everybody can relate to. Everyone right now, and hopefully you can relate to too. Everybody right now can feel a shift happening inside them.
Mm-hmm.
A shift happening on the planet. And everybody wants to know what that shift is going to mean, but I really feel like we're not meant to. I really feel like this is a phase where we have to trust.
Mm-hmm.
And are we willing to let go and truly trust? And, Stace described her current situation, right? She just moved out from a condo, moved into a smaller space, and potentially she's thinking of moving to the UK. I mean, that's like, before we met a few years ago, she's hardly ever traveled out of the US, and now she's talking about moving to the UK. It's like, but maybe that's an extreme for some people, but changing your orbit, changing your careers, changing who you used to be, it really is what this phase is. I feel like so many light workers are being activated. And what do I mean by light workers is is we all have gifts, and we all have light to shine. And, in some way, we're going through a rebirth where some of our gifts are being activated. Some of who we truly are is changing, and it can be scary.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you truly let go and you trust it? Stacey, I'm proud of you, right? I'm proud of you for embracing this journey and trusting whatever's coming next, because you don't know what's next, right? I mean, and I'm sure it's a little scary for you, right?
It's very scary and was consuming me for a period of time where I was, waking up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, anxious. And I'm sure that people in the audience can relate to that. The feeling of like you're being faced with a major decision, or you're not sure what's coming next. So you kind of get into this anxious space where you're trying to figure out what's next, and you're trying to solve it in your sleep, and it's waking you up. And I was in that space, and I made the decision to get help. I made the decision to contact my therapist and say, I can't navigate this alone. And I think that that was a really pivotal point for me, because in that space, I made the decision that I wasn't going to shoulder it alone. And through that process, I uncovered how I was going to take the next step. And for me, what I realized was, and I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but I was trying to be like 20 steps ahead. I was trying to solve the whole situation from the get-go and say, okay, let's project 5 years ahead. This is where I'm going to be. This is what's going to be happening. This is what I'm going to be doing. This is my career. This is what it's going to look like. Like, I was trying to have it all figured out. And because I couldn't figure it out by day, my body was trying to figure it out at night. And I was losing a lot of sleep over it. And through this time and kind of meeting with my therapist, processing some of it, I came to realize that.
All right, so pardon the little break. We were having some technical issues, but I'll merge the two. You know what? Mercury's in retrograde and it messes with technology. So there's a live version, and we don't edit this podcast, so whatever comes through comes through. But Stacey, I know you were going and sharing, so I'm going to hand over back to you.
Yeah. So through this time, I came to realize that I was trying to solve so many steps ahead, and it wasn't serving me. And by meeting with a therapist and having that added support, I came to recognize that right now, I just have to take one step, and that's it. And so my one step this week was my move and kind of adapting to being in a new space. And my next step now is to go to the UK in January and explore what life would look like if I lived there. Trying to figure out when I'm going to move there, what it's going to look like, all of that stuff was just too much for me. It was too much for me in the overwhelm of it. And again, I'm sure that there are people who can relate to this, where you're being faced with major life changes, major decisions, things shifting in your life, and you go, I don't even know where to start in this big pile. And it was like, for me, I needed somebody to come in and say, you don't have to have every step figured out right now. You just have to have the next step figured out right now, right? And so in that, I've had a whole mindset shift that it comes back to me being present and in the moment instead of anticipating. And I am like the queen of anticipating, 20 steps ahead and what's going to come next. And when do things ever turn out the way that we expect them to? Right? When do things ever turn out the way that we expect them to?
That's powerful. And actually, what you said made so much sense, right? I mean, how much do we really want to understand what the end goal is, and kind of 3 steps ahead? And if we're honest with ourselves and we just look at the last few years, how much control have we really had? And That's great advice. Taking small intentional steps each day is a big part of getting unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk a lot about self-care on this podcast. And when you're going, it's really interesting. It's like when things are going well, we have a really strong self-care routine. We're looking after ourselves. And when we're going through this type of shift and we're feeling uneasy, it's interesting. That's when we stop doing the things that really do help. So it may sound simplistic, but actually sticking to what works really does help right now. So taking aligned actions, small steps, instead of worrying about what's going to happen 3 steps ahead. But, doing the grounding practices, staying, yeah, I know depending where you are in the UK, it's certainly getting cold, but connecting to nature, staying centered, doing breathing exercises. If you can, step onto grass, then do that.
Mm-hmm.
But, journaling and kind of doing the things that work, cord cutting, letting go of the relationships no longer matter. This is all to really, to the listeners, what works for you. When you're feeling uneasy, or what self-care, what things have you done on a regular basis that have helped you stay grounded? And that's what I'd recommend you do right now. And Stacey, I know you do a lot of journaling, right? This is one of the big things. But what do you recommend? Apart from taking small steps, what do you recommend from a self-care perspective to really help people to stay grounded through this shift?
Well, it's so ironic because in the time where we really need those self-care steps, I feel
Yeah,
like we tend to neglect them. Wouldn't you say?
100%. 100%.
Right? Like,
That's always fascinated me, right? Why do we do that? And it's just, but I get life gets busy. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening here and saying, well, life just got too busy. But the busyness is a reflection of you inside. Everything in your external is a result of your internal. So if you're really busy right now, that is something you've manifested because maybe you're not willing to do the internal work. But doing that self-care allows you, it's like a base chakra.
mm-hmm.
So what are you doing right now, Stace, to give you that solid base to kind of, as you navigate through this craziness?
Okay, so I think the first thing we have to talk about is the basics. Okay, so the basic things, are you eating right? Are you sleeping right? Are you taking care of your foundational needs? When we're stressed and we're overwhelmed, even our basic needs tend to get neglected. Whether it's that we are tossing and turning in our sleep, whether it's that we're not exercising, taking care of ourselves, those foundational things need to be evaluated. So the first thing I would do is go into, are your basic needs being met? Are you sleeping right? Are you eating right? Are you exercising? Are you doing the things that you know that you need in your routine to feel good? That's the first place I would start, right? Then the next place I would go to is, what are you doing for additional care and nurturing? And for me, it has been getting back in with my therapist on a consistent basis and having that sounding board. I think so many of us need a place to process things that is unbiased, whether it's a mentor, a coach, a therapist, a friend. You need a space where you can process those things and understand exactly what you're going through, right? It provides clarity when we talk about the things that we're going through. It provides a space for us to more closely evaluate what we're going through. So that's been huge for me. And then writing, having a consistent journaling practice has been so important. And here's the thing, there are going to be times where these habits fall away, but then there's a time where you need to reset. And if I'm being transparent, I just moved in on Sunday and it's now Friday. I haven't journaled yet this week. I have not journaled yet this week. My intention is to start that practice today and get myself back in that routine because I know what it does for me. But I had to kind of pick myself up from the packing and all of those things. And now I know it's time to reset into that habit of writing because I know what it does for me. So I think that a lot of the getting unstuck is going back to the basic things that you know you need to care for yourself.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Really
what is
powerful
in your
stuff. Yeah.
routine? Yeah, what is in your
Yeah.
routine? What are you doing to care for yourself? It's interesting. I have a client right now who she's amazing. Okay? She is just one of the coolest people, and she has been on a quest to find a new job. And she's been on this quest for quite some time. She's unhappy with what she's doing, desperately wants to find a new job. And we really have dialed in on her self care practices. She's pulling cards, oracle cards on a daily basis for herself. She's journaling. I trained her in opening up the Akashic records. So she's been opening up the Akashic records on a regular basis. And she's really been dialed in on her self care. Now, does that change the frustration that she has that she hasn't found a job yet that she loves and that she's excited about? No, but it is helping her manage the season of waiting that she's in. And I think a lot of us are in a season of waiting, right? We're in a season of
Yeah.
waiting
It's
for
just,
that
yeah.
next thing, that next step. And my client has expressed to me the frustration of not finding the job. But the flip side is she's doing the things that she needs to in order to be connected. And because she's doing those things, she's better able to manage this season of waiting.
Yeah. And it's interesting. It's like, it's our expectations, right? Maybe the client you talk about isn't finding the right job because we're meant to be doing something different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a period of really is about embracing the unknown, right? Which is what we talked about with you. Is that we're not meant to know what this big shift is going to be. It
Mm-hmm.
is a trustful, but it's realizing that you are receiving more messages now than you ever were before. So I would always recommend also is having an honest conversation with yourself. What are you holding on to that's not serving you? Who or what are you doing that isn't nurturing you?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you need to let go of? Are you in victim mode? Are you in the, kind of why me? And what if you shift from why me to what's next?
Mm-hmm.
How are the emotional triggers? So our guides are trying to communicate much more with us. So if you're being triggered in some kind of way, then that for me that triggers is a sign to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like, so how are you being triggered? So having some honest conversations with yourself as well as the self-care routine is also a big part, because how often do we look outside? We kind of go on this course or do this, do that, but are you listening to you?
Mm-hmm.
And this time is important that you listen to you. I mean, as I said earlier, our guides are communicating so much more than ever before. And are you listening? And
Mm-hmm.
again, a lot of people may say, well, I don't have guides. Well, I believe our soul has picked guides for all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's how we expect to receive those messages. Maybe it's you're waiting for some big, epiphany, some big flash in the sky, and all of a sudden you're going to get this beautiful connection with your guides. It's a journey, right? You've got to build the muscle. And for me, I would recommend just starting, close your eyes and just feel the energy around you.
Mm-hmm.
Call in your guides. And we always do a grounding before we start before we start any podcast recording. And it's just all we do, and we can do it quickly now, is just close your eyes if you're in a position to. And from here, I call in your guides, your soul family. I ask them to magnify their energy, magnify their love. And I ask you just to open your heart and truly feel what's around you. Don't focus on receiving any messages. Focus on just feeling that energy around you. What do you feel? Because you got to remember that with your guides, it's a relationship. It's not just about them giving you answers. It's a co-creation. You kind of following their guidance, but you also being clear with them what you need.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-way street. So you've got to start by building that relationship and just start doing a simple exercise we just took you through, where I just close your eyes and feel the energy around you. Call on your guides to magnify their energy and just feel them. Do that multiple times a day, and that actually starts to build a much stronger connection with your guides. And sure, I mean, me and Stace, we both read Akashic records. We do this beautiful process where you can get a reading from both of us, from divine feminine, divine masculine. We love doing that. We love connecting you with your guides as part of that process. That's also something you can do. But I'll always recommend making sure that you look inside for your answers. What are the signs and synchronicities? And some of us love testing our guides, right? It's like we see, right now it's 22, right? So we see these numbers and it's like, oh my God. But then that's not enough, because it's like sometimes we challenge our guides and say, actually, you know what, another message. And our guides normally deliver, but what signs, what are you seeing? The angel numbers? Are you seeing the signs? Are you embracing it? For me, when I see angel numbers, it could be 111, 222. For me, it's a sign that my guides are around me. It's a sign that my angels, my guides, my soul family just want me to know that they're around me, and I can feel them around me more now than ever before. So, Stacey, you feeling more guided now? Do you feel your guides? Do you feel the intuition? Do you feel like you're receiving more messages than ever before?
I feel like the more I embrace where I am now, the more messages and confirmation I receive, and the more comforted I feel. And I think a huge part of that is a lot of us are waiting until something happens in order to be peaceful and happy. So when I get this job, I'll be happy. When I get this house, I'll be happy. When I find a partner, I'll be happy. And we're not fully recognizing that this moment right now is all we have. And that
So true.
it's a choice how we decide to show up.
Very true. Very true. I mean, ultimately, look, we're a soul having a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the human experience happens at this moment. It doesn't happen when we get a new job or when we're in a relationship, when we're in a new house. If anything, the last few years have taught us we don't really have a lot of control in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
But we have control of this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And what we focus on at this moment really does expand and allows us to embrace the new. And, this feeling of being stuck, I really do feel like it is serving us in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time when we're feeling stuck, it's because something new is being born inside us, right? And maybe it's still being created. Maybe it's ready to be created. But the feeling for feeling stuck is a sign for us to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
Einstein's definition of insanity is keep doing the same thing, expected a different set of results. This is the time for us to embrace new things. This is the time for us to let go of the things we've been holding on to,
Mm-hmm.
and make new room for the new. And this is why I asked earlier, who are the people in your life that you're holding on to? Challenge yourself and ask, who in your life is raising your vibration, is giving you space to be authentically you? Or who in your life are you molding and being not authentic to be in their life?
Mm-hmm.
And it challenge you to really kind of let go of those relationships, because you've got to create new space. You've got to create space for new souls to come in. As you're going through this rebirth, it does include new people, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're open to it. It also involves, I feel like a lot of people's gifts are being activated. And what do I mean by that? Your intuitive abilities, your empathic abilities, your light. And as you go into different environments, how is your light different? Are you listening to your intuition? A great way of connecting with you and listening to your messages is just asking what do you intuitively feel?
Mm-hmm.
Shifting from I think to I feel. When you start asking yourself, how do I feel about this, instead of how do I think about it, that also involves a shift. So what are you feeling differently inside? When you're around people, what do you feel around their energy? And maybe that's your gifts being activated. And the other thing And we said this earlier, you're not alone. This conversation about feeling stuck, we picked this topic because so many people that we've been talking to, our clients and just general conversations, people resonate with feeling stuck, like something's happening, but I'm not sure what it is, and I feel a little stuck, I feel a little heavy, I feel a little intense. So just remember, you're not alone. And the weird thing is, a lot of people are feeling like they're alone, that nobody can relate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you really go out there and you ask and you look for communities, you'll find them. Look for communities, maybe you know, meditation spaces. Maybe look for, places where there's conscious community, where there's conscious conversation, where like-minded soul, and ask, why don't you manifest it? Why don't you ask the universe and say, you know what, I'd really love a community of like-minded souls. Because here's the thing, you're not going to find anybody that is truly going the same journey as you, because you're a soul having a unique experience. But you can find souls that will hold your space, that will listen to you, that will empathize.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the other thing is, seeking guidance.
Mm-hmm.
We have a beautiful mentorship program. We love guiding people to truly connect to who they are, connect to their gifts. If you're going through a shift, a rebirth, this is what we do. So if you feel there's something, in our voices resonates, then reach out.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
interesting.
we can help.
It's interesting because yesterday I had a discovery call with a woman in the UK who is interested in mentorship. And she was saying, how does anybody do this by themselves? How does anybody navigate through this by themselves? And I was like, they don't. I mean, they just don't. I didn't. I had to enlist the help of people who could guide me because I didn't understand what was going on with me. And so the feeling that she was having of how the heck do I do this? It's like, I get it. You find somebody, and this is like my secret to success. You find somebody who is doing what you want to be doing and they're doing it really well, and you get in close to them and you figure out what they're doing and customize it to what you need. And going to a mentor, a coach, some kind of guide is a beautiful way for you to embark on the journey of understanding yourself more. And you're getting somebody who's already been through what you're going through, who's able to guide you on the journey. It's so important. How the heck do you navigate a season of such change that you've never been through before? How do you do that by yourself? You don't. And so, for those of you who are sitting quietly, stewing, churning right now because you don't know what to do, I want you to know that feeling is totally normal. It is normal to feel like you don't know what to do and you don't know where to turn. That is a very human thing to experience. The key is being brave enough to say, I don't know why this is happening and I don't know what to do with it by myself, so I need some help. That is the bravest thing you can do, is to reach out and say, I know that I want more, and I know that I don't know how to get through this alone, so I need support. That is a huge thing to do. And, it's funny because I resisted doing that with my therapist for so long. I resisted and resisted and resisted. And finally, when I made the decision that I was going to reach out to her and have the conversation, it changed everything. It made me feel calmer about moving forward. It gave me a sounding board and a space to be myself. And it gave me clarity on next steps. It was everything that I needed. And I encourage you, if you're in a season of feeling the unknown and you're churning, reach out and get support, whether it's Nimesh and I, or it's someone else that you have a rapport with. Having that sounding board and having that safe space to process what's happening in your life is key to getting unstuck.
Love it. Great advice. Great advice. And, it's a sign of strength asking for help, right? And it's just, how many of us sit there in our own space and, kind of feel like we're alone, feel like we need to do this on our own. I really feel the energy there and the shift that we're moving into. When I talk about shifting from divine masculine to divine feminine, it is all about community. It is all about, kind of finding your tribe and asking for help, and whether it is a therapist, whether it's finding a mentor. And I'll always say anyone that works with us, it's a soul contract. So find people that you feel connected at a heart level. Trust in if you, what's your heart telling you? Trust your intuition. And if it's whoever you pick, make sure you connect at a heart level, because it's soul contract. Some of the things, and Stacey, I'm going to come to you for some general prompts in a second, but just remember that this is temporary. Whatever you're going through, it's a phase. This too shall pass. It's part of your journey. The universe, I truly believe the universe will never give you anything you can't handle. And for all of us, doorways are opening, right? Be aware that things are shifting. And what if trying something you've never done before? Because the shift that we're going through isn't like we've been through before. So trying new things and just embracing new journeys, and sure, maybe changing career and trying something different, but trusting the process and kind of really letting go of your expectations as much as possible is really important. Now, and remember, you're not broken. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Whatever's meant for you will find you, and whatever's not for you will pass you by. Just a phase. You should be proud of how far you've come. I mean, you've been through so much this year, so many karmic cycles closing, so much has happened for all of us. But you got through it. So, both me and Stacey are sending you so much love and light. Embrace this journey as much as you can. And know that this is a phase, but the more that you can truly embrace you and be proud of you, the more that you can truly embrace what's coming next. Stace, I'm going to come to you, and as we close out this episode, any final thoughts and also any general prompts, right? It's been a pretty deep episode. What's in your heart to share from a general prompts perspective to allow people to go deep?
So I think the first thing to do is evaluate who is your support system. Who do you have in place that is helping you navigate this season of your life? And I would make a list, because it's going to be very eye-opening. Either you're going to see that you're really supported and that you have what you need, or you're going to see that you need more support. Either one is okay. But it's the awareness of, do I need more support, or do I have the support that I need? So that's the first place I would start. And then the second thing I would do is journal about what is just the next step. That one next step that you have to take. What is that? Instead of looking at the whole picture and trying to bite off more than you can chew, what is it that you need to do now in order to move forward? What is that one next step? Is it applying for the job that you've always wanted and actually doing the applications? Is it moving to a new location? Is it getting a therapist or a mentor? What is that one next step that you need to take in order to move forward? So I would say start there and just see what comes up. The support system.
Beautiful.
And next steps.
I just had one, and that is challenge yourself at what are you holding on to that you need to let go of?
Yes.
And that could be what you're watching, what you're reading, who in your life. Because so many of us are holding on to the old version. So what is it? And certainly the people, the friendships, because sometimes we hold on to friendships because we're worried about what's it going to replace with. But what if you could take a leap of faith and let go of those relationships that no longer serve? So journal about what are you holding on to that you're ready to let go of. Thank you, Stace. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for being you. I love this podcast, and if this episode resonated, please do comment, like, share. It really does help us. So, and give us feedback. If there's any topics you'd like us to cover, please reach out. If you feel like that we can help and support you, please do reach out. This episode comes out on Monday, 16th December. We do have a monthly Zoom call. That's on the 19th. It's free. It's a 90-minute call. We always do have a conscious conversation about the current energy. We always have some sort of meditation, some sort of guided meditation activation, a journey meditation, and we'll always open the Akashic Records and share a group message. We love doing it. It's one of my favorite things I do in a month. It's our way of giving back. It's free of charge. I'll include the link to register in the show notes. Please do join us. If you have any questions about it, please DM us. Like I said, it's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm looking forward to that. On Thursday, this one is all going to, normally it's around the full moon, but this one we're targeting really kind of getting ready for the new calendar year, 2025, and letting go of 2024 and everything we've been through and truly embracing new energy. So please do join us. You get a different vibration from us. You get to experience us in a different way in terms of on Zoom. You don't have to be on camera. We like it when you are, but we will record the meditation and the Akashic message, but we won't share anything you share. We won't share you on screen. It'll only be the audio of what we channel. But yes, beautiful thing we do once a month. How do you feel about it, Stace?
It is absolutely one of my favorite things that we do. I love that we gather people from all around the world into a space where we're connecting with each other's energy. I love hearing whatever messages come through and the connection. It's a powerful time and it's free.
Love it. Love it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your support. This period, this festive period can be a lonely time. So reach out. It really is a sign of strength. You're not alone. Everybody's going through something. Sending you so much love and light. And if we can help, please do reach out. Thank you.